As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 104, and we are talking MediEvil for the PlayStation 1. I think is it MediEvil? Medieval? I don't know. It's not medieval. I don't know. We talked about it on the show a little bit. For the record, I'm calling it MediEvil, and if I'm wrong, eat my ass. I don't care. I'm trying, okay? I think this is the first time we have covered a game that was the runner-up in one of our monthly Patreon polls. We've run 5 of them. MediEvil got edged out by Super Castlevania 4, just barely, and there was a really passionate group of our listeners that wanted to hear us talk about Sir Fortescue, and so damn it, that is what we are doing. Plus, I really wanted to play it myself, so I've played through it. We've got a fresh podcast. My pal Andre is here. We're going to get into that, and before we get into that, you guys know I got a whole bunch of other stuff to plug. If you're not interested, skip, but listen to the whole thing. There's some announcements. There's all kinds of fun stuff. Hang around. Speaking of our Patreon poll, as I record this, Pokemon Emerald and Castlevania Bloodlines are neck and neck. Like last time I looked, I think they were tied for the winner of this month's poll. And I kind of fucked up because I set the poll to end tomorrow morning, which is pretty stupid because I have no idea who won as I record this, and I can't wait until tomorrow morning to record it. So I'll be posting about who won then. Hopefully you voted because now it's too late. But every month, our Patreons get to suggest games for and vote in a poll, and the winning game gets an episode of the show. So you guys get to help pick what games we're going to talk about here on the show. They also get to submit comments and questions that we'll read here on the air. You're going to get a shout out. And we have a second weekly podcast called Remember the Game Expansion Pass, which goes live every Sunday and is available exclusively to our Patreon supporters. And this past Sunday, I called an audible. We were going to review the first half of 2020, but I finished Last of Us Part 2. You guys have been asking for my thoughts about it, so I actually released 2 episodes of Expansion Pass on Sunday. There's a nearly hour-long, 100% spoiler-free review of the series, particularly of Part 2, and a 45-minute long spoiler cast that breaks everything down, both available now to all our Patreon supporters. And this Sunday, we're going to look back at the first half of 2020, because I had a ton of feedback from you guys with your thoughts and your memories and stuff like that I really want to get to. So you can get access to those, all of our previous episodes, there's over 30, and all the future episodes by supporting us at patreon.com/rememberthegame. It's just $2 a month. It's very, very cheap. Just like our newest Patreons, No Juan Cares, which is a sweet name, Dave Thompson, Mackenzie Wheeler, Ajwu, I sure hope I said that right, and Brandon O'Brien, who literally signed up about 15 minutes before I started recording this. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Again, only $2 a month, patreon.com. You can download the episodes. It's very easy. There's your plug. I'll shut up about the Patreon now. Before we get into the news, we have something very serious we got to talk about going on here to Remember the Game Industries. Last week, we covered Oregon Trail, and you guys really, the feedback was great, so thank you so much. But we did it at the suggestion of former Hall of Famer Mark McHugh. And in that episode, I asked you, the fine folk of Remember the Game Industries, should we let Mark back into our Hall of Fame? And just quickly, for those of you asking, no, we don't actually have a Hall of Fame, although it is something I'm considering doing for the future, putting some games into our Hall of Fame. But we'll get into that later. So 67% of you on Instagram said let the guy back in. 56% of you on Twitter said no, fuck him. And a majority of you on Facebook want him back in. So it seems like the majority of people want him back in. So from here on out, Mark will be referred to as potential Remember the Game Hall of Famer. Okay, the ban is lifted, but that doesn't come with an instant induction. He still needs to prove it. All right. So plus, I know Mark voted in those polls, and that's bullshit. He kind of swayed the votes a little bit. Excuse me. We also talked about covering Dino Park Tycoon last week, and if you don't know what that is, it's a business simulation game that we played in school, just like Oregon Trail, but you built like a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome. It was really fucking good, like way better than Oregon Trail. Did you guys want an episode about it? Because I don't know how many people played it, and when I posted about it on social media, some of you said yes, and then I don't know, though. Like, that could only been a dozen of you that played it. So check our social media. By the time you hear this, Twitter and Instagram, we're at Remember the Game, or Facebook.com/Remember the Game. There's going to be polls up. Do you want a Dino Park Tycoon episode? And if enough of you do, we'll give you one. And you should be following us on those social medias anyways. We follow you back. We interact with people. We're nice. We're friendly. Come on. Everybody needs another follower. So we'll see if there's enough interest in Dino Park Tycoon. And speaking of interest, before I get into the news, I've been talking about recovering some games from the early episodes of the show for a while, because we covered stuff like Super Mario World, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Final Fantasy VII, Pokemon. Like, there's some great episodes we covered in the early episodes, and I have to stress, I can't stress this enough. The guests on those episodes were great. Okay? Frankly, I'm planning on inviting those very same people back to cover different games from that original run next time around. But I hate the quality of those shows. I sound like I'm reading it out of a book. I sound like wood. I'm not happy with them. I want to do those classic games justice. So beginning next week, we'll be launching our remastered episodes of the show. So episode 105, and then I'm thinking every 10 episodes after that, we're going to go back to the vault and find some of these great games and give them their just due. So next week, episode 105, you're going to get a brand new episode about a game we've already covered to try to show it some love. So there you go. Good enough. Let's get into the news. Rumors have come out that there's a Fallout TV show being in production for Amazon Prime. And when I say rumors, I mean the Fallout Twitter account has told us they're making a Fallout TV show for Amazon Prime. And I'm pretty fucking excited. I'm pretty excited about it. I feel like Last of Us, Fallout, some of those types of gaming universes would make great TV shows. And to me, there's no risk involved in this other than the money, which I don't really care about because it's not my fucking money. Like, if it sucks, we just won't watch it, right? I mean, if Fallout 76 could come out and do what it did and people haven't completely turned their back on the Fallout series, a bad TV show certainly isn't going to kill it. So I'm really excited. I hope it's an original story. I don't want to just see them retell the story of Fallout 3 or anything like that. Give us a brand new fucking story but set in that universe. I think it sounds rad, so we'll wait and see. But I think there's certainly potential there, right? Like The Witcher, I didn't watch The Witcher on Netflix, but apparently it was awesome. And I've always thought that there are certain video games that would make great TV shows. So hopefully the Fallout TV show works out and it's not bad. Min Min is a new Smash Brothers character that is available now. If you don't know what a Min Min is, you're not alone. She's a fighter from ARMS, which was a Switch game that nobody played. But she is the first character in the second pack of Smash DLC. And admittedly, I don't buy Smash DLC anyway. I didn't buy any of the stuff on the Wii U. I haven't bought any on Switch, and I won't until Dixie Kong or Waluigi is involved, or maybe Crash Bandicoot. But I know that a lot of people do. Nintendo prints money from the Smash Brothers series. And the feedback on Min Min being the first character in this new pack has been pretty mixed, because they're expecting you to buy this pack of 6, not knowing who the other 5 are, and you would think they would come out of the gate with a bigger bullet than Min Min. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of people care. I got some feedback from some of you guys about it. The Movie Epidemic podcast wrote in on Patreon, and Bradley over there said, I've been playing Smash Ultimate with Mii costumes lately, stuff like Cuphead, Sans, Team Rocket, etc., and I'm actually really loving how they play and look. So my thought is, why the hell can't Nintendo add these characters to the random character selection, or at least let me add them to my personal roster? And I think that's a great call. If you're allowed to play as the Miis online, there's the Mii Fighter, the Mii Blaster. I don't play as the Miis. But if you're allowed to play as them online and the costumes don't change how they play, you just change how they look and you're not doing anything wrong, then you should totally be able to personalize your home screen and your character select screen. And they're pushing these Mii costumes. They're selling them to you and trying to get you to buy these Mii costumes for your Mii fighters. Why not give gamers like 8 to 10 slots for the created characters? I think that'd be awesome. And I don't know if I don't think that's a thing. I don't play nearly as much Smash as the guys over at the Movie Epidemic podcast do, but if they're asking for it, then I can't imagine it's there. So I'm surprised that they haven't offered that. And also when it comes to Min Min, Dan T over on Patreon said, Min Min is pretty damn good. I'm hoping that the rest of Fighter Pass 2 has more unique characters like her. Surely they've run out of Fire Emblem characters by now. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, dude. Nobody wants more. I love Fire Emblem. The other day I saw, there's all these things on Twitter and Instagram and stuff now with like 10 or 15 or 20 movies or books or games, franchises, whatever. And they're like, you can only pick 3. And there was one with gaming franchises. And I was like, well, Mario for sure. And then I actually was like, I was very torn on putting Fire Emblem in my top 3 franchise. Like, I really enjoy those games, and I don't want any more Fire Emblem characters in my Smash Brothers. You guys don't want, nobody. There's the biggest Fire Emblem fan in the world does not want more Fire Emblem characters in their Smash Brothers. And I get that maybe Nintendo doesn't have to pay for them, you know, like they would if they went out and got Crash Bandicoot or something. But like, if you're expecting people to pay for these characters, you got to mix it up and throw in some non-Nintendo characters and pay for them. Plus, like, you own Dixie Kong and Waluigi, damn it. You have them. You don't have to pay anybody. Just put them in the game. I have wanted Dixie Kong in Smash since, like, fucking Smash U. It's starting to piss me off. Waluigi would be cool and fun and whatever, but damn it, Dixie Kong. If, like, ugh, drives me crazy that Dixie Kong's not in there, but we're going to get 8 more fucking Fire Emblem characters. So, good stuff. Good take. Speaking of stuff that you own, terrible segue. That was supposed to be because Nintendo owned Dixie Kong. That makes no sense. But anyway, Xbox has announced that between July 21st and July 27th, they're going to be dropping over 60 demos on the Xbox marketplace for upcoming games. Like, they're saying the final number is probably going to be somewhere between 75 and 100. And that is fucking awesome. I don't understand how demos aren't a more common thing in gaming to begin with. To me, that it's risk-free selling. It's risk-free advertising, right? Sonic Mania was free to play for a weekend on Xbox One a while back. And by the end of that weekend, I loved that game so much that I bought it before it went off sale. Like, no problem. And if I had the pen and I was in charge of one of these gaming companies, I wouldn't publish demos. I would actually just give people an opportunity to play a game for free for an hour or 2 or 5 or whatever, depending on the game, and then give them the chance to buy it and carry their progress over. And certain games have done that. Octopath Traveler did that. I think they offered a 3-hour demo, and then if you bought the game, you could move your save over, and it sold a ton of copies, and that really helped. I don't get how more games and companies aren't pushing demos and samples of their games. It used to be a normal thing, and it just seems like a forgotten marketing art now. There's a few, but there's not nearly the demos as there used to be, right? Doug Dorn and James Clark both wrote in on Patreon talking about the PlayStation 1 demo discs. Remember the jam packs back in the day? And I was like, fuck yes. That was my first thought too. I've told this story many times on the show, but when I bought my PlayStation 1 in high school, or junior high or whatever. It's a long time ago. They all blend together. Just in the days before my back hurt, I couldn't afford a game, but I had a demo disc with a Tony Hawk Pro Skater demo on it that I probably put like 50 hours into. Well, I saved up the money to buy myself Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Demos work. Bring back demos. And fucking good call by Doug and James for remembering the jam packs. I fucking love those things. And then finally, there's a story floating around. This is kind of the big story in gaming this week. There's a story floating around that games are going to see a price increase next generation. And when I say floating around, again, like the Fallout TV show, it's been confirmed. NBA 2K21 will be $10 more on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X than it will be on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And I've seen a lot of people whining about this, and I just don't get it. I'm like, dude, game prices haven't gone up in forever, but development costs have continued to go up. They must be through the roof right now. And it makes, if you're ever going to do it, it makes sense to do it right now as we go into a new generation of gaming. If you can afford $500 or whatever it ends up being for a PlayStation 5, you can afford an extra $10 for the game. I'm telling you, like, I don't want to pay it, but I'm telling you, like, you can afford it, right? Gaming's not a cheap hobby. It just isn't. And there are ways to do it cheap, which we're going to get into in a minute. But if these companies aren't making money, then they're not making games. So if they need to charge a little bit more to back up the development costs that go into some of these new gen games, I totally understand it. And I got way more feedback on this than I expected to get, which is rad, but I can't get to all of it. Most of you don't seem to be too mad, with the caveat that an increase in price means a decrease in microtransactions. And I can get behind that. Personally, I don't think I've ever paid for microtransactions, but I don't care about skins and costumes and stuff like that. So, and I don't particularly mind it when companies put that stuff behind microtransactions when it's purely cosmetic and it doesn't really change how the game plays. That's totally up to you. To me, that's no different than paying $2 for a theme on your PlayStation 4 or whatever. Or your Switch doesn't have fucking themes because Nintendo. That doesn't bother me. But what I don't like is when they put stuff like powers, weapons, things like that behind microtransactions. Agreed. That is complete and total bullshit. People can pay to win, and that chaps my ass. But lots of you had thoughts on this, on the game price increase, which means that it's letter time. And this week's email, Patreon comment, letter, whatever, comes from Luca R. I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name, Luca, because I will fuck it up as I have in the past. Luca said, I never buy games for $60 anyway. Most I get on sale for $10 or $20 between PC Game Pass, which is $5 a month, Epic giving away a free game or two every week, and all of the cheap games I've gotten on sale over the past few years. I don't think I'll need to buy another game at full price for a long time. Keeping all this in mind, I think only the biggest AAA publishers are helped by a price increase. High game prices will cause people to buy fewer games, and they won't go out on a limb and buy anything that they aren't sure they'll like. This is probably bad news for innovation in the AAA space. Developers can't take risks because it might turn off their audience. But annual games like Madden and NBA 2K will do fine. It should also help anyone who offers a subscription service. Sony with PlayStation Now, Microsoft with Game Pass, and EA and Ubisoft have their own subscriptions. Instead of buying the next Assassin's Creed game for $70, you can sign up for $15, play it over the course of a month. You just don't get to keep it. There's a chance that we could see smaller studios, or it's a chance that this could help smaller studios too by making people less inclined to buy expensive games and go for the $15 or $20 indie game instead. I know it was a long email, but there's some great points in there that I want to unpack. First off, I agree. I probably buy 5 or 6 games a year on day one at full pop as it is, and I know I want them right off the bat, and $10 won't keep me away. Like when I think about this year, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Last of Us Part 2 might be the only, and Ori was on Game Pass. So those are the only 2 games that I bought day one at full price, and I gladly would have paid an additional $10 for either one of them. So I don't think that that's a huge deal breaker for everybody. The rest of the games I want to play, I also grab on sale. I'm cheap piece of shit. I'm a Canadian comedian. We are broke. So I wait for sales all the time. I'm totally fine with early adapters paying a little bit more. Most technology is like that. If you want a new phone or the hottest TV or whatever day one, you're going to pay a little bit more than someone that's got some patience and is willing to wait. So and there's nothing wrong with doing either. I'm just saying I'm usually the cheap guy that is willing to wait. I also agree that it might make it harder on companies to try new things with their AAA titles because they might be a little bit more worried about people thinking harder about spending their money. But that said, I've always believed that you should do your homework before you spend your money. And if a company tries something new, but it gets good reviews, it should and probably will sell. I don't think that $10 is going to stop anybody. Like I said before, this isn't a cheap hobby. I don't think $10 is going to scare people off if they really want to play a certain game. And you're right, the AAA studios making the Maddens and the FIFAs and the 2Ks, they're going to be just fine. People that buy those games every year are going to buy them regardless. It doesn't matter. So my favorite thing that Lucas said is how this could benefit the indie studios. And I actually agree with this. I'm a huge indie fan. I've said that many times on here. We've reviewed a ton of their games, and I already play them, partially because they're fun, and partially because I'd rather spend $20 than $60. And now the choice is $20 or $70. That's an even easier choice. It's different when it's a day one game, like again, The Last of Us that I got to get my hands on right away. But Ghost of Tsushima is a perfect example. That's not going to be one of these new $10 more games, but I don't know if I want to play it. And so it's like, do I want to spend $70 or $80 on Ghost of Tsushima, or do I want to spend $15 and get Undertale? It's like, I'll spend the $15 and take a chance that's a quarter of the quarter of the cost. There it is. So I agree. Great email, Luca. Plus, I agree with you, dude. Game Pass and PlayStation Now and those things, those are the wave of the future. Whether people like it or not, those are taking over. And if Microsoft is successful with the Series X and Game Pass, it's just going to blow up even more. Netflix blew up, and now there's 100 Netflixes. It's going to be the same thing with these online services. So great email, dude. If you want to submit questions, thoughts for the show, you want to get in on letter time, you can. Over on Patreon, it's only $2 a month. That's good enough. What have I been playing? And then we're going to get into MediEvil. I finished Last of Us Part 2 last week. I really liked it. It wasn't perfect. Like I said, I published almost 2 hours of podcasts about it on Sunday, so if you want my thoughts, you can listen to those. I'm still plugging away at Final Fantasy on the NES, which won our poll last month. It was fucking slow to start. But now it's starting to pick up. As it gets stronger, I'm really starting to have fun with it. And I've been posting about it on Instagram particularly. So you should follow us over there. We'll follow you back. Add Remember the Game. You can see the updates. I'm playing through that. There's an episode coming on that. I want to try to finish it up before Paper Mario on the 19th and get a podcast done about it so I can focus on Paper Mario. I got one more message I wanted to read from Bullfrog over on Patreon. And he said, "Hey, buddy, thanks as always for the show. Quick question I wanted to float out. Will you be getting Paper Mario?" And it's funny that we get Paper Mario the same day as Ghost of Tsushima. A few years ago, we got Mario Odyssey and Wolfenstein 2 on the same day. Thanks for the show. It's grown so much and is important to so many. Thanks, Bullfrog. That's really nice. I was just texting with my buddy about this. I think both of those games, Paper Mario and Ghost, look dope. I wonder if being released this close to Last of Us is going to hurt Ghosts, but I know that being released against Paper Mario is going to hurt it. Because a lot of gamers have a Switch and then either a PS4 or an Xbox One. And just a simple fact of the matter is there's way more hype out there for Paper Mario than there is Ghosts. We haven't had a big Switch game since Animal Crossing back in the winter. We got a big PlayStation 4 game 3 weeks ago. So dropping them on the same day isn't going to do Ghost of Tsushima any favors at all. And I'm almost certainly going to be getting Paper Mario. I'm just waiting to see if the reviews are really, really bad. But I'm going to be keeping my eye that works on Ghosts as well, because I think that game looks rad. So I've been playing those, and then I've also fallen back in love with Slay the Spire. I fucking adore that game. I taught my girlfriend how to play it this weekend. She played one game of it and then went out and bought it on her iPad, and now she's hooked on it. She can't stop playing it. She doesn't really even play video games. That's how good that game is. I got to do an episode about it soon, or a review or something. Good enough. We're at 20 minutes. Fuck, Adam. Shut up. Let's get to Sir Fortescue. It's such a hard name to read off of a piece of paper. Let's get to Sir Fortescue and episode 104, which is MediEvil for the PlayStation 1. Like I said, this was the runner-up on one of our recent Patreon polls, but I wanted to play it anyways. You guys seemed really interested in hearing about it, so here it is. My buddy Andre is my guest this week. He was so excited to talk about this game, and so I'm going to cue some music. And we are going to get into talking about the little skeleton knight ghoul guy that almost could. And we are, of course, talking MediEvil, which originally released on the PlayStation on October 21st, 1998. Get comfortable, kick back, wash your hands, and all that stuff, and enjoy the MediEvil discussion. Here we go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic realistic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home. And they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, joining me once again by the miracle of the telephone device is returning guest to the show, friend of mine, pro wrestling aficionado, my pal Andre. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, buddy. How are you? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I got a good feeling about these. It's like, as we're sitting here, you guys, and I hope that no background noise gets picked up. It's like gorgeous in Edmonton. So I have the window open in my office because it's an oven in here. So there's like these bratty kids. I hope that they can't hear me right now. There's these bratty kids that live behind my house, and I'm hoping they don't go outside and start screaming while we're doing this. But why would we want to go outside and play when we can sit inside and talk about video games from 20 plus years ago?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right?
You're talking about the old games, man.
Yeah, fuck. That's what nobody wants to go outside. You want to stay in and play these old games. And today we're talking, so how is it pronounced MediEvil?
I always, just me personally, I always called it MediEvil, but
yeah.
That's just, but I don't, when most people have with games, the pronunciation things are random. I just say pronounce it however the hell you want.
Right. Yeah, dude, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, in 100 some episodes, I don't know if we've ever had a game on here that I don't know how to say. But I'm going to...
I think it's pronounced medieval, but I just always call it MediEvil.
All right. Well, you can call it whatever the fuck you want on here. I don't care. I guess no, we did have this controversy with the Ninja Gaiden episode. So this is another Ninja Gaiden episode. So today we're talking MediEvil, and this is the first time a game was on the Patreon poll, didn't win the Patreon poll, but is still getting its moment in the sun, because I kind of wanted it to win that poll, because I remember when this game came out, like it was 1998. I had a PlayStation like everybody did, and I thought it looked rad. It was just one of those games that I never ponied up the dough to buy. And I know as soon as I posted on the pod or on the poll, you were messaging me about it. So like, did you own this one growing up? You must have.
No, I rented it a lot though from the video Uptown Video in Morinville. I rented it like crazy.
I remember that video store.
I was never good at it, but I just loved this game.
Yeah,
for the time it looked so good.
It really, because listen, and I'm not going to sit here, I am going to shit on some aspects of this game, but I'm not going to sit here and shit on the graphics to this game, because first of all, it was 1998, and we all know that the PlayStation 1, the Nintendo 64, they haven't aged all that well. But admittedly, particularly back then, I could see how you could play this and be like, dude, this is a pretty good look at, they really did a great job of making it and I'm using air quotes, but like a scary game that's still kind of funny and lighthearted and charming at the same time. Oh,
very much so. It's gameplay. It's obviously blocky. It's all like the PS1 era. It's cinematic stuff. Like it's as we all said back then, going, "Oh, it's so beautiful. It's never going to get better than this." Things like we say today, right?
Yeah. It's funny because you're right. Like when the little videos, like the intro videos and stuff come up, I'm like, admittedly, even by today, I'm like, these don't look terrible even today. But yeah, no. I could totally imagine in 1998 us looking at this and being like, wow. And it was like, and you're not playing a game that looks anything like this. It was just like Final Fantasy VII, where it would go to the cutscenes where they were like full-sized characters and they looked really cool. And then it would go back to the gameplay and they were made out of like squares and circles, kind of like taped together.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
so.
Same thing. But I will say, like I said, they did a really good job, like, I struggle with. I don't even care. People are gonna make fun of me, but that's fine. I struggle with horror games and horror movies and scary shit. Like I'm a pussy. I don't like scary stuff. I can't. I have tried to play. Have you? We're not gonna get on another game for too long. But have you ever played Outlast?
No, I have not.
Oh.
I've heard of it. It's like a horror survival game, right?
Yeah, and I've tried it like 4 times, and I can't. It looks so fun, and like I'm like, this is great. I literally can play. I can't like. I started playing with like my headphones on in the dark, and then it was like, hey, turn the lights on, and then I was like, okay, I better take my headphones off. And now like I can only play it with the window open, where I can hear those kids screaming outside with no headphones on, and even then I'm like, this is just too intense for me. Whereas like the PlayStation 1, like Resident Evil and stuff like that, they're scary, but they're not like, it's just not as realistic enough to make it scary. This one never scares you, but it has like it's almost got a Nightmare Before Christmas charm to it.
Well, I started reading stuff, and one of their bases was taking kind of the style of that movie for this game.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
You can totally see it. Like it's almost got that like that Disneyland, but everybody's dead feel to it. You know what I mean?
I love it.
I do too. I do too. And so, like, just quickly, if you've never played it, the long and short of the story is that you control Sir Daniel Fortescue, who's this like he used to be a knight, and he like. Now, I can't quite understand. Like, it sounds like he tried to stop Zarok, this bad guy, like way back in the day, and then he died during the fight or something like that. But like,
they went to war,
yeah,
and then he got killed right at the start of the battle. Like, he was supposed to be their like conquering hero.
Mm-hmm.
He gets killed super early in the battle, and they end up like they stave him off, they get rid of him, but Zarok, but they don't kill him. They just kind of get rid of him for a while, and then he comes back, right?
Right, yeah, he's been waiting to come back or something.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, because some people, like, when you run across all these people who are, like, also dead, they see the skeleton, because now you control basically, like, the skeleton of this Fortescue guy.
With one eye.
With one eye and no jaw, yeah. And I love his design. He looks fucking hilarious. But when you run into people, like, half the people are like, oh, it's Fortescue, the hero of whatever the fuck the name of the kingdom is, and then other people are like just making fun of him and calling him like a piece of shit and a failure and stuff like that. Gallowmere is the name of the town.
I think what it is I think the legend of him, like as the people know, is that he was a hero, but then the people that were in the know that he didn't do anything.
Oh right, I think you're right. Yeah,
I think that's what all like the statues talk to you, and then like all the dead. Yeah. And the heroes are like, well, you can make up for it.
Yeah.
Here, take this.
Because to me, like, that was the funniest part of the game was, like, I'm not going to say I didn't like it when regular people or the dragon heads or whatever you came across would talk to you and be like, oh, it's Fortescue, you're the hero and you're back. I was like, well, that's not funny. But whenever you'd run into, like, one of the other knights that would just insult him, I thought it was fucking hilarious. There's one when you're in the Hall of Heroes. It stuck out to me when I saw it. I legitimately laughed out loud. If you've never actually seen the character, his head is like a squished skull, and he only has one eye and then an empty eye socket, and then these like fucking freak teeth with no bottom jaw, just the top row of his teeth. And one of the heroes in the Hall of Heroes, when you run into him, he's like, Fortescue, you jawless arrow magnet. And I thought that was fucking hilarious because jawless is funny, but to call him
was that the first one?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, the first guy you deal with.
It gives you like that crossbow or whatever.
Jawless arrow, like the arrow magnet thing, made me fucking laugh. Yeah. I was like, this poor guy.
There's some great humor to this game, and I think that's a real strength to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. Yeah. It feels like, I mean, I don't know if that was their intent right from the start or not, but like, I think if they had just leaned into trying to make it a scary game, it wouldn't have worked. I think Resident Evil would have fed it its lunch. But when they decided to make it like a funny, scary game, like it just clicked. Like it's the perfect combination. It was such a charming game. Shit like that. Shit like there's a part where you unlock, if you find both of the dragon gems or something, you have to fight like this magical dragon who hates being woken up. And when the dragon comes out, I think it's the dragon that says it. He's like, all right, well, that's it. I'm going to rip your eyes out of it. oh, because he said he only has one eye, and then he says something about how he's gonna like destroy your jaw, and then he's like, oh well, I'm still going to kill you, like because he just every time he starts talking shit, he looks at Fortescue's face and he's like, and I was like, that's clever.
This guy.
What's that?
He's like, I can't make fun of this guy. He's already beat to begin with.
And the best part is that like everybody is voiced in that cheesy kind of British accent voicing, except Fortescue, who I assume is because he has no jaw.
I didn't realize it when I was replaying. I replayed a little bit of it. I didn't get very far into it because life gets in the way. And I was listening to voice acting and him. I'm like, what the. And then I realized, oh yeah, he has no mouth. How can he talk?
Yeah, because everybody else in the game talks, and like obviously one of the like selling points of the PlayStation was that like there was tons of voice acting and stuff because the 64 wasn't doing that. But everybody talks except Fortescue, and Fortescue talks like a teacher from Charlie Brown. Like
I love that.
And it shows what he's saying, like, oh, get on with it. But it's just like, and that fucking made me laugh too. That they never gave him the voice. So
I love that.
Yeah. So the game is really funny, and then you get into the actual playing of it, and this is where like I'm torn. I don't hate it, but there are aspects of it that irritated me because first of all, what I like about this, because if I'm not mistaken, Andre, you said you were a pretty big Spyro fan back in the day too, right?
Oh, huge Spyro fan.
Yeah, you had mentioned you wanted to do Spyro when we did the original episode about that.
Yeah, you already had a guy though, so darn it.
Oh, Darren was on me for a long time to do that.
No worries, I'm good with that.
But like in the original Spyro game, you had to go through it. You could just beat every level, or if you wanted 100% of the game, you had to get all the treasure in every level, like all the collectibles. And MediEvil basically did the exact same thing, except you didn't have to go around and collect all the treasure. You had to, if you wanted 100% of the game, you had to kill enough bad guys in every level to fill up your chalice.
Yeah.
And I fucking, dude, when the levels aren't super big and they're manageable and it's not like you know what I mean? Like a level's not going to take me 2 hours to complete. Like a run through a level is going to be 20 or 30 minutes. I love that aspect. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I was playing through, and then I was just reading some stuff online. Like some people say they can get through some of these levels in 5 minutes, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, I don't know how.
They must just be running through and not completing anything.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And like, I don't know if because I finished this game yesterday, I think, and I 100%ed it. Like I got every chalice, like I filled all of them. I don't know how you would beat the game without, because like for every level, there's 20 chalices I think that's how you say it. I sure hope I'm not saying that wrong, but there's 20 chalices, and like every time you fill one, you get to go visit the Hall of Heroes, which are all these old war veteran statues that make fun of Fortescue, but then they also give them power-ups and stuff like better weapons and better armors. And like
your good weapons come from there.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how the fuck somebody beats this game without most of those weapons, because it's not hard about 80% of the time, but then when it gets hard, it gets really fucking hard.
Yeah, the last 20% of that game is quite tough.
Yeah, man. And like
you need like pretty much everything the best you can get it.
Yeah, because like you keep getting better. Like you start out like, actually I think your first weapon is just your arm. Which also is fucking hilarious.
You have the arm, but then you can get the small sword in your crypt.
Right. Yeah, you get a basic sword. Yeah.
You get your small sword and your shield.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the throwing knives. I can't remember. And I think maybe that made them be the next level, but I know you get throwing knives early.
Yeah, you get you get a couple of like those shitty. You get a couple of like shitty weapons to start, but then as you fill up these chalices, you get access, like you'll go back to the Hall of Heroes at the end of every level, and one of them will be like, take my sword, take this bow and arrow, take this shield, or else they'll give you more health, like more health urns to like keep your health up.
One of my favorites was the hammer.
Yeah.
I love the hammer.
Yeah, once you get a hold, because like one of the weapons you can get is a club, but every time you swing it, it goes down in strength, and when it hits 0, it breaks, like Breath of the Wild style. But like you're right, you can get this hammer thing, and then it never breaks. And like,
there is a club you get from there too, which is the club that doesn't break.
Yeah.
I think that was a club that doesn't break. Yeah.
Like by the end of the game, I had so many different weapons, and I was only using basically my magic sword and my shield. Like I wasn't using anything else. But like what I wanted was the health. And what I will criticize is that at the end of every level, so basically sorry, we should go back. Like you have to kill enough bad guys in the level to fill. Like, as you kill them, like their spirit basically floats away and it goes into this chalice. And if you can get the chalice up to 100%, where you don't always have to kill every bad guy, but you have to kill like 95% of the bad guys in the level.
Yeah, it's the majority of them. Yeah.
Like a vast, yeah. Then it fills up this chalice. And if you go collect the chalice, it says the Hall of Heroes awaits. And then when you beat the level, instead of it taking you back to the overmap, it takes you to the Hall of Heroes where you go in and then you can go up to a statue of a hero and they'll give you a new power every time. But what I would have personally, I think would have been cooler was I didn't realize that when you go to the Hall of Heroes, you don't get to pick which hero you want to go see. There's only one,
No.
like it's systematic. Like it's going to give you this, then it's going to give you this.
Yeah.
I wish that you could have chosen like, well, that guy will upgrade your health, this guy will upgrade your weapons, this guy will upgrade your shield. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe part of the game was you have to have certain weapons at certain times. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But like, I would have, because like I remember I just done this recent playthrough. I didn't get super far into it. I went to the first time into Hall of Heroes, got the crossbow,
yeah.
and then when I came back the second time, it was the same dude, and I just got a life file.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, I felt a little ripped off on that one.
Yeah, dude, there was a couple where all you get is
easy to
treasure.
life files and stuff.
Yeah. Or you just get treasure and I'm like, dude, I have more money. I never once did I come close to running out of money in this game. Like once.
No.
I was like,
I did. I got really low on money once. That's because one of the levels it had like stupid imps, like those imp things, and one of them stole my sword and got away.
oh.
So I was stuck with my arm until the next level, and I went to one of those supply dragon heads, and he was selling us another small sword. This was like 3-4 levels in, but it was just annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, yeah, those little shits.
600 gold just to get a small sword.
Yeah, those little shits fuck you over hard. One of them stole my sword the first time I was in that level too, but then I died, so I was like, all right, well, I guess got to start over anyway.
Yeah.
But I would have preferred that, yeah, because like I personally would have loaded up my health first. Because like your health in this game, you have like a health meter at the top of the screen, and then you can find, I don't know how many, 6 or 7 like health potions, I guess, jars.
I think there's like 10 or 11 in total.
Yeah, there's quite a few. And every one that you get, as is in classic video game, instead of your life meter getting bigger, they just go above your life meter, and then when you run out of health, you just cash in one of those vials and it fills your health back up. So it's just like more list.
And there was the fountains in all the levels where you could go stand there and replenish your health, but if you just kept standing there, it would replenish the vials.
Yeah, you could stand on them and you could get 2 or 3 vials worth of health out of them before they wore out. Yep. But that was one of the problems I had with the game was like, I wish that they, like, I personally would have stocked up on the health vials early, because every time you fell off of like a cliff or something, which is a majority of how I died, was due to the poor platforming. And if you fell into water, you instantly lost one of your health vials. And if you only had 2 health vials, you basically had 3 hits, like your main health bar and then these 2 vials. So if you fell 3 times, the game was over. And so that's where like I wanted the health vials because they would buy me more falls into fucking cliffs and stuff like that.
That would have been great.
Yeah, like so that's what I would have stocked up on personally. But maybe that would have broke the game and made it too easy if you had all the health right away. I don't know. Like,
well, and the thing is, at the end of the game, the health helps you. Like you use up most of your health to get through that first battle.
Yeah, you fucking do. We'll get into that because when I figured it out, I loved it, but I hated that at first. I didn't know what the fuck to do. So, like Andre mentioned, you can like in almost every level at some point you can find these like green fountains because your health is green, and you just stand on them and they refill a bunch of your health. But one of the issues that I have with this game is that when you beat a level, it takes you back to the overworld, and then sometimes there's a couple different paths you can go on, and sometimes there's only one extra way to go, but you don't get your health back like when you beat a level. So if you fight a big boss at the end of a level and you barely sneak by, then your only options are to start a new level with next to no health, probably die, and then have to, it's not a big deal. You're just going to go back to that new level you're on because you can save at the end of every level. But it's still frustrating to go into a brand new level with no health. And you're like, well, do I even scout this level or do I just let them kill me and then start over with full health?
Yeah, get your health back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed by that.
Yeah. Or you go back to like one of the first levels and fill up your health, but there's no way to go in, because in the first couple of levels, like, these health fountains are everywhere because they're like the tutorial levels, but you can't go and stand on the fountains and then just exit out of the level. Like, you have to finish.
You have to complete the level.
Oh, I was so fucking mad. I was like, why is there no way to just buy health?
I did the same thing. I went, like, on the replay, because I forgot you couldn't do that. I go back to, like, one of the first levels, just I'm like, I can get some health and get some, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I have to beat this goddamn level again. So I just turned my game off, started back up, because it brought me back to where I was again. I was just like, oh, it's
dude, because like I said, you can save at the end of every level. So like, after you go back to because to go through that original level and get all the health and stuff, it probably takes, I don't know, 5-6 minutes to play through that first level. Yeah. And it's like, after a couple of times, I realized that, like, my best bet is, if I'm going into a new level with no health, just let them kill me, get the game over screen, load up my file. You know what I mean? Like, but oh no, that wouldn't even work, because you fucking reload your file and then you saved with no fucking health. So you had to go back to that first level. Yeah. So stupid.
You have to go back, do that stupid run, and as you get better weapons, you're just like, well, I'm doing this again.
It's boring. It'd be like playing the first level of Super Mario Brothers with a permanent star. Like, you just run through over and over and over again. Yeah. And the thing is like, there's these dragon heads. There's 2 types of dragon heads around the world in this game, and one just gives you advice, and then the other one is just like a store, and you can buy supplies. And like, you can recharge your powerful sword there, recharge your shields. You can buy more ammo for your throwing knives and your bow and arrows and stuff like that. And I was like, how in the fuck can you not buy health here?
I was so annoyed by that. Like, the fact that you couldn't buy it, what would have been cool, even if you couldn't buy health, be able to buy an extra couple vials. Just
something.
Like this, even if it didn't replenish you, just to know, I can buy health offer if I die. It'll replenish me.
It was so infuriating, because I was just like, listen, because my other big gripe is with some of the controls, which we'll get into in a minute, but I can look past those to an extent, because I get that they were obviously new to the 3D and the hardware and stuff like that, and a lot of these games handle it. Like, I don't have to like it.
The goddamn camera.
Sure.
And it was just, and half the time the little symbol would come out, no, you can't rotate camera here. I'm like, why not?
Oh. And so, like, and there were a lot of points in the game where that was frustrating to me, but it'll only take so many points off for that, because I feel like they did the best they could with where the hardware was at the time.
Oh, very much.
But with this life thing, no, there is no way during the play testing or something of that game, somebody wasn't like, dude, there's got to be a more convenient way to refill my health than make me go back and replay through a fucking level just to go find a couple of those fountains, which might not even fill my health up all the way. I have more money than I need. You have fucking stores everywhere. Either give me less money if you have to, but make these stores sell health. Because it was so infuriating. And the thing is you get into the late, because I think there's like 20, 21 levels or something. And I would say in the last 6, 7, 8 levels, if you don't have full health or incredibly close, you have no chance. No chance. Unless you're like a speedrunner and you've mastered it, you're completely fucked.
Yeah, and you have to, like, for certain things, you have to get stuff. You can't, I don't think you can... You can't. I don't think you can beat the game without getting the good lightning and stuff.
No, I don't think you can. So it's just so that my biggest criticism of the game is I like the health system. It was just a matter of, like, give me a fucking easier way to fill it. Even if, like, Dan's Crypt, because you get, like, every time you come out of a level, you can go around the entire overworld, right? And you can go back to Dan's Crypt, which is, like, basically the tutorial level of the game. Like, it's the very first level where he wakes up. Like, even there, let me go there and stand on a fountain where it only is going to take me 30 seconds or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so infuriating to me. Fuck, I was just... So many times. There's one level in particular where you have to, it's basically just a fight. You basically just go through 4 or 5 different levels of fighting, like, swarms of enemies. Yeah. Do you remember what level I'm talking about? I can't remember the name of it.
No, I don't remember.
You basically drop into, like, a castle, and then the first level, it's just zombies just coming at you from every angle. And then you kill them all.
You got to go down the pathway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first or second levels.
And like, I was like, I don't have any fucking health. And I was like, so my only choice is to go back and fucking fill up my health or fight these. It's just, I know that I keep talking about it, but it was just like, it's the single biggest wart on this game is the fucking refilling your health system.
I died I got so much on this replay. And I know I remember playing as a kid. I love this game as a kid, but like I remember dying so much.
Yeah.
To just trying to get health, and I remember running. You used to run through levels and jump over bad guys just to find and just eventually find myself a fountain. And then you use that fountain up, then you have to go back and go through the game. And by the time you get through that level, where that fountain would have been, it's gone.
Yeah. Well,
you need that health anyways.
And then, so that's going to tie into my other big gripe with this fucking game. And I don't want to sound like I hate this game because it's going to get a good review. I like this game. But the fucking platform, like, I just closed the window because I know I'm going to swear and yell, and I don't want all those little kids out there to hear it. Here's the thing. To every video game maker, designer, developer, fucking whatever in the history of this business, or anyone that's out there making games right now, listen, if the main challenge to the platforming in your game is navigating your fucking control system and your goddamn camera, that it's a bad fucking design and you need to redo it, because nobody in the history of playing video games enjoys fighting with their fucking camera to make a jump that is like an inch wide on the screen that I'm going to clear easily, but I miss the landing because the fucking camera turns as I'm halfway across the water, and then because I'm a fucking skeleton with one eye and no teeth, when for some reason when I land in the water, it kills me and takes a vial away from my health that I can't fucking refill anywhere because all the fountains are back at the first fucking level. The camera in this game, this is my beef with Ocarina of Time. This is my beef with Mario 64. And I don't even care if people get mad. I've ranted about it many times. You guys know how I feel about the cameras from this era. The camera in this game is not good. And Andre, you mentioned it yourself. You can move it with the L2 and R2 triggers. Perfect.
Yep.
No problem with that whatsoever. But the amount of times that I tried to shift that fucking camera so I could see what was coming, and that stupid little icon just popped up with the camera and the X over it being like, oh, you can't move the camera right now. And it was
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. What the fuck? And I don't know if it's supposed to be, like, to me, the only thing stopping the camera is physics. You try to swing the camera to the right, and there's a wall there, and it's like, oh, hey, there's a wall there. You can't move the camera there. And I'm like, guess what? You know what you could fucking do? You could put the camera in the fucking wall so that I can see where these bad guys are that are going to kill me because I have no fucking health because you didn't give me anywhere to fill it.
That would have been great. I don't know. It's just I'm fighting guys and I'm trying to turn to attack another one. It's like, camera, no. I'm like, why? I need to be able to see things in this level.
Oh, man. Because the thing is like, I don't think the combat in this game I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's terrible either. It's kind of, it's just hacking. It's almost hack and slashy is what it is.
Yeah, it's a hack and slash game. Like, you're meant to either be firing a bunch of bows, throwing knives, or slashing or smashing with a hammer or something.
Yeah, that's like
all you're meant to do.
Which is fine, but like when one of the main mechanics of the game is you have to kill all the bad guys in a level to fill up this chalice. So then there's no, like, you see a bunch of zombies coming and I'm like, oh fuck, there's a bad camera angle. I can't tell where they are. They keep disappearing behind this fucking wall. I can't just run away and not fight them, because if I do, then I'm not going to fill up this chalice and be able to get the Hall of Heroes thing at the end of the level.
And there's so many cheap hits they get out of it too. Yeah. Like especially in the zombies. Like, I was walking down the path and there was like, they had those weird raised sections.
Yeah.
In the middle of the path. I'm walking down the path and then all of a sudden I'm starting to get hit and I don't know where it's coming from because the zombies came out from behind and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, oh man, that fucking, when the combat worked, I thought it was, I'm not going to say I really liked it, but it was fine. It was totally serviceable and playable and fine. But like when the cameras were what was fucking with you, right? Oh. Yeah. And then you throw in the fucking platforming. There are levels in this. So Fortescue can't go in the water. He can go in like shallow water, but if it's deep, then he dies. Bit. Yeah. And there are levels. There's one level closer to the end of the game where you're basically just running on docks. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a cross.
I know what level you're talking about. Yeah.
It's basically just these long, skinny docks, and if you fall off the dock, you're gonna lose you're gonna lose one of your health vials. And it's so easy to accidentally walk off the edge of these docks because they're fucking like 2 inches wide on the screen, and the camera's constantly just shifting a little bit and a little bit.
I find it's like find it so hard like now, especially with the replay, that using the D-pad and it's just trying to adjust slightly. Oh my fuck!
Yeah, it was brutal. And then and the level before the dock one is one where you have to. There's like a death is basically like driving a boat, and he was like,
I think it was the lake level, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's like, if you can collect these 8 souls, I'll take you to the next level. And so that's fine. Yeah. So then you go into this level where the object of the level is to go find these 8 floating soul heads, and that's totally fine. But all of the level are these little islands with the water. Like, so you have to jump from island to island without falling in the water. And the only way to even make some of these jumps is to do the dash where you like tap a direction so he's dashing and then jump. But when you start dashing, the controls go completely out the window. So if you're not facing an exact straight line before you start dashing, you're probably fucked. And it's so hard to face a straight line because you can't get him to look the right way because every time you hit the button, the fucking camera shifts a little bit. I died so many times falling in the fucking water. And I was like, there's literally no bad guys here. There's no timer. The only way I'm going to die is a bad jump. And I can't help but make a bad jump because your fucking camera is fucking so angry. It's so infuriating. And then you lose like 4 of your health files falling in the water. Then you hit a point where you have to fight bad guys. And you're like, dude, if I had all my health, this wouldn't be a problem. But all my health is gone because I fell in the...
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. It's just, it's like, let me turn the camera when I want to turn the fucking camera.
I haven't played the remake of. Have you played the remake of it?
No, okay. So after this came up, I went to look on my PS3 because like I bought multiple old games, and I was like, well, I'll go see if I can buy this on PlayStation Store. And that's when I found out there was a remake.
I didn't even know there was, but like...
No, me neither.
Once I saw that, like... Because again, and we're going to get into the good right away, but like when I'm playing this game, and I'm like, I want to really like this game, I semi-like this game, the controls, and like you guys, at this point, I think you're fully aware of what our issues with the game are. I was like, this is a game... that screams remake me, and because it's I love the concept, I love the humor, I like the story. I think that a lot of the puzzle mechanics and stuff are cool. It's just hard to it's hard to do what you want me to do.
The control side of it is the biggest issue to this game.
And so I don't know if the remake fixes it.
Them,
What's that?
Yeah, if you can revolutionize those controls with a remake, like you especially being able to use a joystick and rotating the cameras when you want. I think it would fix a lot of issues.
Yeah, I do too. Because there's like, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that are sick of all the remakes and they think there's just too many. Like, and I get it because there are a lot of fucking remakes these days.
Some games don't need to be remade.
No, but to me, like when I'm playing it, this was one where I was like, I would love to play a new version of this where they just fix some of the little things, because if we get into the good stuff, like we've already mentioned, like the sense of humor this game has, I really enjoy it. Like
just his back and forth with all the statues, all the people, like all the different characters. I love it because except for like the villagers and stuff, nobody respects this guy, and he's got to go through and constantly be like earning people's respect.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And you know what the best part is right near the end of the game, when you go to fight Zarok, you get to like the last level, and right before you walk into like his fortress, there's 2 dragon heads outside of the fortress, and one is one where you can buy supplies, and then one is one of the advice heads. And the advice head is like, well, maybe you can beat him. And it was just like, they're like, well, we're pretty well fucked now, so hopefully, maybe you aren't that bad. Like, I thought that was really funny.
It's like the Dragon Head spirits finally came around. We're like, well, he's done it all. Well, maybe it's time. Okay.
Yeah. It was like they were all just waiting for him to lose for like the entire game. And honestly, there are games where I think that mechanic is done poorly, where they just shit on the main protagonist the whole time and it just gets stupid and not funny. But this one cracked me up because there were people that thought he was a hero, and like you mentioned, all of the people that fought with him were like, he's a fucking idiot, like he sucks. But by the end of the game, everyone was like, holy fuck, maybe he doesn't suck. And it was really, it's easy to cheer for him. Like it's really easy to get behind Fortescue and be like, I'll fucking show all of you guys.
So you're getting behind this guy who's like, I screwed up. I want to make it. I want to make everything up to these people. I want to re-earn everything.
Yeah.
And you feel that, and you're like, I want to play. I want to help make this character succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's to me one of the big advantages PlayStation had over Nintendo, and I'm a Nintendo guy, so don't come at me 64 haters because I love Nintendo. But like one of the advantages some of these PlayStation games had over stuff like Mario 64 and things like that was, I mean, not that I need a deep story in Mario 64. I just want to play, I just want to fight Bowser. But this game did a great job of making me care about this guy. Like again, within the first 2 hours, I was just like, oh, we're gonna fucking finish this game. I was like, I'll fucking show you guys. Because he's so, and there's something about his design that just makes him look kind of cool, but kind of lame at the same time. And just,
you could tell that this dude was a hero, but then as he looks now, you're like, oh, this dude sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. But by the end of the game, you're like, he doesn't suck anymore. Like it was, really well done. I liked that a lot. Yeah. Another thing I really like about this game is not every level, but after the first 2 or 3 levels where they're basically, you have to kill all the bad guys to fill up the chalice. And then they almost steal like a little bit of the Doom concept where it's like, go find a red key card and then you can open this door. But it was like, go find a red rune stone.
Yeah, the rune.
Yeah. So like the first few levels are basically just that, but then they start really working in like some problem solving and a little bit of puzzles or like varying scenarios and levels and stuff like that. And I thought it was a great way to change it up,
Yeah, you have to get yourselves to certain locations by like finding the secret ways through just to get that thing to open up the obvious door.
Yeah. And there's stuff like, there's the one where you're in the corn, like you get like a big cornfield and there's like jack-o'-lanterns and stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can't go if you.
I think it was called pumpkin something.
Yeah, like a big pumpkin. Yeah. But you can't go. You can't go into the corn because if you do, the creatures that live in the corn will kill you. So you almost navigate this maze, and then you find this old tractor, and it's like, well, if you can find the parts you need to fire the tractor up, then the tractor cuts down a bunch of the corn, and then you can get a bunch of supplies that are hidden on the other side of the corn. And it's just those little things that just change it up enough to like just a little bit of problem solving. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Just those fun little things. It makes it. I don't know. It makes it a good time because it makes you want to explore and find everything in the levels.
Yeah, but the levels aren't too big where it's overwhelming. No. Like they're just, you know what I mean? Like I don't even know if I would call it an issue, but there is a little bit of like trial and error with some of the levels if you want to 100% the game and get all of the chalices. Like there's one level near the end of the game where there's like these villagers that have been caught and they're hanging over fire and you have to save them. And so what you have to do is kill these bad guys before they drop the villagers onto the fire. Then you have to put the fire out with your wooden club. Then you have to hit the switch to drop the villagers onto the non-existent fire so they can get away. And I didn't save them the first few times because I didn't understand how. And then at the end of the level, I realized that my chalice was only at like 94%. And what was happening was when the villagers died, I was losing filling from my chalice, and there's only way to 100% it was to get all the villagers.
Yeah, you have to save them because it goes against you. Yeah,
right. And I think that's both good and bad because I think the mechanic is really clever. Because again, it's like the whole game has been teaching me just kill bad guys that'll fill up your chalice. And then this level, it's like, oh yeah, your chalice is already like 20% fill, but if these guys die, you're gonna lose that percentage. But they don't really explain it. So it was like I finally Googled it to see how to. I was like, how the fuck can I not beat this? And then I had to Google
it. How do I get this goddamn chalice? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a few instances like that where I just couldn't figure out what the fuck I was supposed to do until I Googled it. And I was like, I love the puzzle concept. I just feel like there were a few of them that weren't explained as well as they could be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. Like that, like maybe that's what it is.
No, you're not just dumb. Like I guarantee you I didn't figure that out when I was a kid. I probably would have just left them there.
Right. Or remember the level where all the villagers are like infected or something? Or like brainwashed? And you go in and the first dragon is like, don't hurt the villagers because they don't mean to hurt you. They just can't help themselves.
Yeah.
And that concept is rad. It just gets so fucking irritating because there's these villagers just charging at you and there's nothing you can do. And if you kill them, you lose points from your chalice and now I can't 100% the fucking level.
So, but then you're taking damage.
I know.
It's like, I can't buy health.
Oh.
Comes right back to, I can't buy health.
Yeah, that's what it does come back to. The biggest knock on this game is that there's just no fucking way to refill your health. But I do like that level because you go in and then one of the first buildings in this village is like a blacksmith store with like the stove that you can turn the fire on and heat up the stove, but nothing happens. But you know there's got to be something to do with this stove. And then the next building in the village is a church, and it turns out the cross is gone, and you have to replace the cross. So then you spend the whole level looking for a mold of a cross and then some metal that you can put into the
forge.
The forge.
Make the cross for the church.
Yeah. Then you hang the cross in the church, and then you get a key to finish the level. And I was like, I thought that was a great concept, albeit a little frustrating with these fucking villagers.
One little thing, because it takes forever to fucking find everything.
Yeah. But I love games like this where they don't just make 20 levels that are the exact same. Because if they had all been the exact same, I probably wouldn't have finished it. But I wanted to see what every level did.
Yeah.
So
every level had its own authentic thing. Like the ghost ship alone was just so much fun.
Yeah, the ghost ship was a rad level. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It just they made everything it's still the same in a way. It's still the platformer, still the same kind of style in each level, but you get a distinctive different kind of level every time.
Yeah. It was I liked it. It like one of the things I got out of this game too was that when you go back to play these older video games, like really the only ways to beat them are either save states or just play them over and over again until you figure out the level and know what to do. And in this game, I subscribe to that theory of just play through the level until I figure out what to do. And there's something incredibly satisfying about beating a game because you just go into a level that you've died in 4 or 5 times, and then maybe you beat it once, but you didn't 100% it, and now you've played it enough times that you've kind of mastered it, and you can just bomb your way through it and do everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can get your 100%. Like, you know when that random bad guy that screwed you that 3 or 4 times is going to pop out.
Yeah, it was just incredibly, like an incredibly satisfying game loop. Like if you
it was the boss of the level, you finally got him beat the first time. You're like, well, I was trying to get through to get him. Now I can go back and do what I need to do, and I know how to get through him very easily.
Yeah, because you're right. That's another thing is like, and that's where like I didn't find myself getting too frustrated because the levels weren't too long. Even when I was up to like 80 or 90% of my chalice and I had most of the runes collected and I was pretty close to beating a level and then I died. I would walk away for a few minutes and then come back and be like, okay, I know it's only going to be about 20 minutes to take another run at this. And now I know where all these guys are going to be waiting. And, it
made for you want to come back because it's like, okay, it's going to be the same. I know what I'm doing. It's not going to be as hard this time.
No, it was like, I don't want to call it addictive, but it was a satisfying game to play. And when I beat a level, 100% of the level and got the chalice and got out of there, I was like, that was doable. And the game is hard, but I don't think it's not unbeatably, stupidly difficult. Like, it's not that hard. It's just a matter of like, if you put the time into getting good, then you'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're willing to work at it, you're going to beat it. It's just, it can't just, it's not a simple, easy game to go in and just win automatically.
No.
The first few levels, not hard. But as the game, it gets progressively more difficult, but it's like you feel it and you're like, oh, this is getting the difficulty going up. You're like, oh, this is making it more fun.
Yeah, and like, and like, I know I was ranting about how there's stuff that confused me. One of the things that really fucking confused me was the final boss, the Zero. I had no idea what the fuck to do, and I finally was like, what the fuck is going on? So
there's 3 stages, right?
Yeah, so the first stage is the only one that really confused me though. Yeah. So you go in and you find Zarok, the evil sorcerer, the bad guy, and then he summons like an army of evil skeletons to attack you.
Yeah.
But then your chalice that you've been filling up all game, you put it down and you basically summon a bunch of good knights, skeletons, and then they just start fighting, and you're just standing around watching them fighting.
Yeah, you summon them from the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah. And so then you're just watching them fight. And I was like, oh, so maybe now they keep each other busy and I go after Zarok. So I ran up to him, but he's just standing up in his balcony laughing at me. So I was like, okay, well then maybe I have to help my skeletons beat these skeletons. But then I'm attacking the bad skeletons and nothing's happening and they're slowly killing my guys. And then the bad skeletons kill all my skeletons and then they just kill me and it's game over. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And it happened.
It is so confusing.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. You don't know what you're supposed to do here. The play this level 4 times and not really know what you're supposed to do.
No. And then so again, finally I went to Google, and then it was like, well, you have to use good lightning and use your own health to keep your skeletons alive so they can beat the bad skeletons. And once they explained it, I was like, oh, I see. So then you have like 8 of your own skeletons fighting the bad skeletons, and all your skeletons are green, but then as they get hurt, they go to yellow and then to red, and then they die. And so you have to just run from one to another, zapping them with lightning to keep them healthy. But as you zap them with lightning, it's draining your health.
So that's where you want to hopefully have gotten every single life bottle.
Yeah, you
by
need
that
them.
point.
Yeah, you need them.
You should be seeing I think it's 9 or 10 above your health bar.
Yeah.
When you go into there.
Yeah, and by the time I beat that skeleton part, I had no vials left. Like I had burned through all my health. But then when you do it, every skeleton that survived turns into a health vial that you can refill your health with for the next boss fight.
It's one of the few times that game it gives you health.
And that's where yeah, you're right. It is one of the few fucking times. And that's where I'm torn on this because I think that's a phenomenal idea. Like I've always said on this show, I hate bad final boss fights. I thought that was a great concept for a final boss fight, except that they didn't explain it. I have no idea why you wouldn't all you had to do was put a fucking dragon head in there that had been popping up and insulting me the entire game to pop up and be like, keep them alive.
Friends alive.
That's all you had to fucking do.
Alive, something.
Yeah, So you beat that, and then you have to fight this minion of his.
They threw him the horse, right?
Yeah, and I actually found that incredibly easy. Like I just beat him. I was like, well, he wasn't that tough at all.
He doesn't take long.
No, I was like, that seemed kind of a silly fight. But then you have to fight Zarok, and it's really, again, this is where the game's humor shines. Zarok, the evil sorcerer, he goes back into his balcony. He's like, where's that spell book? And then he
keeps screwing him up. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, he accidentally turns himself into a chicken. And then he turns himself into a goat, and then he finally gets it right, and then he comes out and he's part chicken, part goat, 4 different animals.
And there's some kind of serpent involved in there too.
That's right, yeah.
Pretty genius.
And I thought that was really funny. And then you fight him, and I thought he was a little tough, but it took me I think 3 tries, and I beat him. It was
there's a couple ways to do it. If you've gotten the dragon armor. Mm-hmm. It allows you to use fire.
Yeah.
That is, with the horse guy and him, the easiest way to beat him.
Oh, I never tried that. Really?
Yeah, because you can keep yourself a little bit back from him and keep shooting fire on him.
Oh.
Because the fire doesn't deplete. You don't lose your fire from the dragon armor.
Right.
So you can just constantly be hitting him and running away from him.
Oh, I never even tried that.
You don't get close enough for him to hit you.
See, what I did, I just used the magic sword. And I basically just kept running around behind him because he's got an armor on him, but then he drops his armor a lot to attack or his shield. Yeah. And every time he drops his shield, I would just start fucking hammering him with this magic sword. And I was like, oh, that wasn't I really didn't find him that. It was more just like in any old fucking video game boss fight. You just basically learn his pattern and then tee off on him.
It's just, and that's where the fire comes in because when he drops his shield, you're flaming him, right? But you can stay away from him. So he's not going to attack you easily. That's where the dragon armor is a big advantage in that fight.
Yeah, but for the most part, to me, a bad final boss fight can ruin my whole thought of a game. And outside of not knowing what to do with the skeletons, I thought it was a pretty solid, albeit fairly easy final boss fight, which I like.
They weren't hard, but they were enjoyable because it gave you the comedy with him trying to turn himself into stuff. It gave you and once you learn the skeleton side of it, you're like, oh, this is actually pretty genius.
Yeah. Oh, and there's another, another thing that's really funny was you're in his castle, Zarok's castle, in one of the last levels, and you find his spell book, and if you actually read the table of contents to his spell book, it was evil spells, potion recipes or something, but then it was card tricks. And 2 or 3 things like that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, that's funny. That's a clever little, I don't know, man. Overall, fuck, we've been going a long time on this. Overall, I had no idea this game was as charming and funny as it was and good as it was. And I get now why so many people voted for it in that poll and were disappointed that it didn't win. Because this is a rad game, man. It's really good.
It lost to KOTOR, right?
Yeah, which is fair because KOTOR is a better game, but
but that doesn't surprise me. But like, I voted for MediEvil because I'm like, as soon as I saw you post it, I'm like, I need to do that episode. I loved that game growing up as a kid, and I love this game. Like, so happy we did the episode for it.
Yeah, I was impressed, you guys. Listen, like I always loved my original PlayStation. I just never thought it aged well. But in the last year or so, like, I've played the original 3 Resident Evil games on there, Metal Gear Solid, Spyro the Dragon, MediEvil, and like, I really enjoyed all of them. And I'm like, dude, I get how the PlayStation became as successful as it did with so many of these, like, obviously Nintendo is the king of the platformer, and we all know that. But I'm like, dude, PlayStation had a lot of really cool, fun games to fight back with, and this is one of them. And I never played this one as a kid, other than like a little demo of it. And I'm sitting here playing through this game, and I'm like, I would have really enjoyed this when I was 14 or 15 years old. Like, really enjoyed it.
Wonderful game. Yeah. Wonderful game.
I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm definitely
annoying at times, but wonderful game.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to play, I definitely want to play the sequel. I want to see how the remakes are, because this is, had I played the original version of this prior to that sequel, I would have been pretty fucking excited about a sequel coming out for it, because I just want to see these mechanics better implemented. Because
I don't think I've ever played the sequels to this.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try it, because I was impressed. Before we score it, have you got any final thoughts on Sir Daniel Fortescue and his adventure?
I thought overall, like, this character, you take him from this guy who just looked like a fool and was about it, and you make him a hero in the end. And it's just that classic, gonna make the redeeming game while also being super funny and enjoyable. I love this game.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is a bit of a redemption story. So like, you take a charming character, pretty fun gameplay with a couple of major hiccups, some creative levels, some puzzles. It's funny. And then you give you a redemption story of a character that, like, you can't help but like him, like, within the first 5 minutes. He just looks goofy and fun, and you want to see him do, fuck yeah. What a good shit. Good game. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Great game.
Okay, I'm trying to think of how to score this thing. So this game happened in the year 1286. So on a scale of 1 to 1286, how many years would you give MediEvil?
I'm gonna give it 1072.
It's very specific. I like that. Yeah. All right. I'll go about 1100. It's pretty good. It's definitely, if you could feel your health easier and the camera was a little better, like, in all, like, if you were scoring it out of 10, I'd probably give this game at least a 9 if it had that better stuff. But it's in that like 7 or 8 range, because it is fun. It's not that long. Like, I beat it in under 10 hours, I think. 100%ed it.
That's the only thing I worry. If I want to play this remake, it better not be full price if it's just this game.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's not a long game. Like, but I enjoyed it though, and I'm surprised they haven't done more with the Fortescue character. Maybe the game, like, maybe the remake and stuff didn't sell that well, because he seems like a charming character, and I would love to see like a new game with this guy in it. Like, I'd love to see.
Well, I guess it only came out like a year or two ago, the remake. So
yeah, so hopefully there's a new one. I would love a new fucking.
I'd love to see a remake of the sequel, and then I want to try the sequel first. But
yeah. 100%. Good stuff, buddy. Thanks for doing this, and thanks to everyone that voted. Fucking great game, man. Good stuff. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Andre, thank you for giving me a call and talking MediEvil with me, and to every single one of you geeks out there, thank you so much for listening to our silly little podcast. Like I mentioned, keep an eye on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, @MemberTheGame, or Facebook.com/RememberTheGame. We'll follow you back. We're going to be posting some polls. They should be live by the time this episode is in your ears. Do you want an episode about Dino Park Tycoon? If you guys want it, we'll cover it, and if you don't, then we won't. It's that simple. We'll be back next week for our first ever remastered episode, where we look back at a game from the first 20 episodes of the show. And if you're enjoying what we do, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Really, I know I bring it up a lot, but like, I'm a comedian. We're not working. I'm putting a ton of work into the show. It's only $2, and you're going to get shout outs. You get extra podcasts. You get to submit questions. You get to vote on the show. It helps me a lot. You get a whole bunch of stuff. It's really worth it. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are the best. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons, and I'd like to take a moment to thank every single person that makes this show possible. So a massive thank you to all our Patreons, including Aaron Cuphall, Adam Anderson, Alex Martinez, Andre, Andrew Castro, Andrew Halipchuk, Andrew Wright, Andy Baker, April Sane, Batter Barhumi, fuck Batter. I'm going to call you Batter B, dude, because I'm going to keep fucking that up. Ben Bulyu, Ben Busha, Ben Drinkin, Bevan's Girls, Brian McKay, Bullfrog, Charlie M, Chris Fleury, Chris Wilson, Corey, Dan T, Dave L, Dave McG, Desert Tortoise, Duhow, Doug Dorn, Dustin L, Dylan, Eric Cannard, Evan Refuse, Fraser Burns, Gary C, Jin and Chris, James Clark, Jason Adams, Jason Cortez, Jeffrey Mathis, Joe Buck, Joe Gillespie, Joe Mack, John Taylor, Jordan, Josh Morgan, Josh from the Press Start to Join podcast, Kate Roberts, Casey Rarick, Keegan Wilson, Kevin Donlin, Kevin Hufford, Cryptovox, Kyle Paul, Lane Orr, Lord Egbert, Luca, Mark McHugh, Mark 209, Matt Brown, Matthews Kids, Michael Mathis, Movie Epidemic Podcast, Nathan W, Nick Sills, Ole MF, I know I'm saying it wrong, but I love it. Rex, Robert Fusho, Robert L, Rome 21, Ryan White, Scott, Shaley, Sean P, Sean Razine, Sharonix, Slick Rick, Stupid Monkey, Todd O, Tony, Tyler, Vladstein, the Uremtio Boys, No Juan Cares, Dave Thompson, Mackenzie Wheeler, Ajwu, and Brandon O'Brien. Thank you all so much. You guys are the best. Take it easy. I'll talk to you again on Sunday. Cheers.